Hello everyone, and welcome to another awkward analysis with Chromoid. This is my avatar, and with him in the back is the Pyre Battalion, submitted by Pyrotech51. They're going to fight today. In fact, I've already posted the video for this fight, so if you've already watched that and come here, you probably won't see anything you don't already know about these tanks, but we'll just get a little bit more of an in-depth look at them today. So, yeah, stuttering and bumbling out of the way, let's get on with it. This is, I believe, the Fisher. I'm going to unlock them for a second, because they take off once I did. They're very, very fast. And please. There we go. Sorry about that. It always likes to kick me back to, yep, nope. I want key-based. Easier for me to navigate. Okay, there we go. So this is the Fisher. As we can see, it runs around 62 meters per second. It's a very fast little tank. I say little, it's actually not that little. It's close to the 15,000 materials limit. This is, I guess for lack of a better word, the main tank of the team. They're all different tanks. Two of them are similar, I guess. They're both called Tectons, but they have different types of rounds. So this is very much a diversified group here. Let's go ahead and look at the inside of the Fisher. Ton of wheels on it. I don't think it has steering wheels on it. I'm going to take this off so I can see what I'm doing. Yep, they're all powered wheels. So unlike, well, I don't know. Unlike I don't know. Have I reviewed a tank that doesn't have tank steering on it yet? I don't think I have. So I can't say unlike anything else. Oh well. No, but this is another tank steering tank. That basically means that these wheels move forward and backwards. They don't turn like car wheels. And the way that it steers the tank is by having one set go backwards and the other one go forward to spin it very sharply. I'm not really... Let me see here. Yeah, okay. Now I know in the last one of the last awkward analyses videos I did, we looked at the corner cutters, which had a similar style of steering, but it used a very different mechanism from this tank to make it happen. What this tank has is probably the more obvious way of doing it. You use an automatic control block right here, and you go into it and you say, when the AI says for you to turn to the left, yaw left, then I want you to switch all propulsion components within 8 meters, measured in Manhattan distance, and set them to half drive, basically. You can go from -1 to 1, so that's half of full. And basically that's just going, and I assume, I haven't looked, but I assume, yeah, there's more of them. And so they're basically all scattered along the sides here. And so what will happen is, if it wants to go to the left, this side will basically slow down a bit. It won't stop, but it'll slow down, and so the tank will start steering to the left because the right side's moving faster. And I'm sure there's an ACB somewhere. I can't be bothered to look for it, but there's probably another automatic control block in the middle somewhere that's set to control all the propulsion components in the tank and constantly, yeah, right here. So activate every half second, set all the drives to full. So basically, whenever one of these control blocks on the side are not outputting a different level of propulsion for the wheels, that ACB in the back will automatically override and set them all to full, so it'll drive straight again. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. It requires a few more blocks because you have to stretch the ACBs along the sides here. A more simple, or even simpler way of doing this with this setup would have been to use one ACB on each side and say, like we saw with the kind of like what the corner cutters did, but without the turret part. You would set all these up here to correspond to whichever key we wish to be pressed, and then have an ACB say whenever it says yaw left, press the H key, which is left and from the depths, and then anything that was set to positive for H, say I set this to H positive, then it would go forward, and then anything set to H negative would go backwards. So for this set of wheels on the left side, if I wanted to go left, I would simply set these to positive for H, and then, nope, I did that wrong, set them to negative for H, so whenever H is pressed, they would reverse immediately, and your tank would turn to the left. Anyway, just different ways of doing things. Like I said, you find a lot of cool stuff in this tournament. A lot of repair bots, some batteries. I see batteries a lot. Now, I know this is a railgun tank, but I've seen them even in tanks that don't use railguns, and I think I know why, and I'll explain that when I find one. Over here we have the main ammo for this, which is of course a gunpowder railgun hybrid. and it has Sabo solid warheads on it. Let's see, how fast can I got to go over here first. We're going to look at the railgun and then come back to the shells in a second here. This is the main gun, has a lot of railgun pieces on it. This is the second railgun we've seen in as many battles. I mean, it's pretty cool. The last battle had a railgun in it. This battle has a railgun, maybe more. I can't remember if this entry has more than one railgun in it. But anyway, let's see. Next shot we'll use 11,640. That's a lot. And these shells are 120 millimeters in diameter. That's significantly larger than the slug. It's got this cool armor belt around the sides of the can. It gives a little more durability, and it looks aesthetically cool too. It's not out of place when it turns. It doesn't look awkward. What did I say this was? 11,640? Let's go back to the shell real quick. 11,640. Gotta remember that. Like Dory in Finding Nemo. 11,640. Okay, so, and we know this is 120. Please tell me that was right. I can't remember. Yeah, 120. Okay, good. 120. I said all that. Okay. The average speed for this shell will be 1,366 meters per second. Not as fast as the slug shells, but then again, the slug had a longer shell with a smaller caliber, so it's actually going to fly a lot farther. There's less mass to push. This is a kinetic damage shell of 4,079, significantly more damage than the slug. And armor pierce is also greater than the slug, 62.5. That will go straight through heavy armor without any problem. All this damage will be applied directly to the heavy armor. None of it will get mitigated by the armor count, unless the armor is stacked with something else. In which case, this will still receive some. This shell will receive some armor negation before it applies the damage. And I think that's all we need to know about it. It does reload from the clip every 5 seconds, and I need to look at this turret again to be sure, but I'm pretty sure it reloads pretty quickly. Nope, never mind. I thought maybe it would. There is an autoloader, so it looks like it's just the one autoloader. I'm trying to find out. I do all these reviews without having actually really looked at these tanks beforehand, so you're getting my honest reaction, which could be a good and a bad thing. Okay, so it uses a single autoloader. That is interesting. I honestly thought it would be a more rapid-firing cannon, but it only fires every 5 seconds, and it reloads this clip every 10. Now, because on a autoloader and not a belt-fed autoloader, or I should say a standard autoloader, I'm going to lift this guy up because he's about to be on a collision course with that other tank. Hopefully, this will prevent that. No, it won't. Okay, my bad. We'll let him go now. But basically, it'll fire every 5 seconds and reload every 10 seconds. And it'll reload constantly because that autoloader is built that way. Oh, dang it. I'm going to have to restart, aren't I? You guys are blowing each other up. This is why I don't let you go free. Well, since we're here, let's go ahead and review this one next. That was the Fisher. This is going to be the Tefra V7. This is another unique tank in this team. Like I said, all except 2 of them are pretty much their own separate hull and gun and chassis. Everything is unique on each of these vehicles. The Tefra, I can't tell you how fast it goes. You know what? We're going to do something real quick. I'm going to restart this. I should have done this to begin with, but I didn't. So, there we go. Now, I want all of you lovely people, stop. Thank you. And I'm told you can destroy the spawn stick. And they're all separate now. Yay! Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to spawn the Tefra, since we were looking at that already. Spawn it in and look at it. Alright, this is much easier. Come here. And boom. Much easier than trying to land on an aircraft. If any of you watch me do the coverage of the Warbirds tournament, you'll know what I'm talking about. Alright, the Tefra. It looks like another railgun, but I'm not seeing any railgun. Oh, there it is. Okay, there's a tiny bit of railgun pieces on here, right? Yeah, there's just one railgun piece on each side. Yeah, so it doesn't have a whole lot of power to this railgun. As we see, it uses like about 94 energy for every shot. I'm not sure if that was maybe a system that was originally put in there and then kind of just taken off, and they forgot to add, take off these last few pieces. I'm guessing that's what happened here, because that's not enough to do really anything. 94. Yeah, there's not enough energy there to really do anything, I don't think. This does have the, this is a twin-barreled gun on the Tephra. 188 millimeter shells come out of each barrel, and I am guessing this is probably going to be a much more rapid-fire cannon. Yes, okay. Autoloaders, again, 1 meter shells, the most space efficient and honestly the fastest reloading type of shell that you can get. It does mean you can't pack as much into the shell, as I'll show you in a moment, but there's a lot more. Let's see, how many autoloaders? 1, 2, 3. Okay, 6 on each, 6 total. Each has its own clip, so yeah, that'll fire pretty quickly. And having 2 barrels, let's see, 32 shots per minute. That's roughly 1 shot every 2 seconds. So that's not too bad. Not too bad at all. Not fast, but when you have when each one's 180 millimeters, it's significant damage that's coming out of this thing. Another set of batteries with electric engines on them. Interesting. I'm pretty sure these batteries are just as kind of a redundant power system. Here's your shell loadout. This is, yeah, I'm pretty sure this was not intended to be a railgun platform in the end. He just forgot to take out the last few pieces of the railgun. But there's gunpowder on here, base bleeder to increase the distance, and just for the fun of it, I'm going to put on 94 and see what happens here. And we have 180 millimeter shell. Okay, yeah, it doesn't do anything to the. Oh, it does actually. Okay, boosts it just a hair. Okay, so maybe that is useful. The expected muzzle velocity with railgun assist will be 670 meters per second. That gives it less damage than the Fisher, honestly, and less armor pierce. But when your expected reload time from clip is roughly 8 seconds, that is 8 seconds, and you have 6 clips up there or 6 autoloaders up there, that means you can fire these shells a lot faster than the Fisher can fire its shells. We can see that the shell is just underneath the maximum length it would need to be within a 1 meter autoloader. If it was any longer at all, it would have to go inside a 2 meter autoloader. So very good min-maxing on that right there. And of course, this is even faster than the Fisher, 82.5 meters per second. That's blazing. Now, as we can see, there's a theme here, and again, this is another. I think all the tanks on here use tank steering to maneuver. So we've already explained that. We're going to stay there. But it's interesting how these tanks are designed. They're not big on armor. There's some heavy armor here. If it's facing the front, you'll want the heavy armor here to protect it. You got ERA on the inside of the armor to protect against ammo boxes, which are very sensitive to heat. So you want, if heat shells come through here, you want something to block them. But I mean, there's some token heavy armor on the front, not really a whole lot, just enough to cover the ammunition, and that's it. It's just metal, some heavy armor around delicate AI pieces and stuff. There's even stone back here. So these are definitely relying on speed to get around. They're orbiters. They go very fast. They circle around and around their enemies and just plunk shells into them all day long. So that's the Tephra. I am going to stop the Tephra now, and we're going to go to the Pyroclast. I like the Pyroclast just because the name is so cool. Okay, let me land on you. Thank you. The Pyroclast is the missile tank for this entry, and it doesn't seem to want to move at all. I'm not sure why. Are there, hello? Is there life in here? I guess not. You would think. It seems like the engine's having trouble. It keeps revving and then unrevving. Can I drive you? I cannot drive you. So I don't think we'll figure out how fast. You know what? There it goes. I don't know what I did, but it's taken off now. I must have moved in front of the AI. Sometimes it likes to drive towards you, and you have to be in front of it. Okay, this is even faster than the Fisher. Oh, is it not the Fisher? The Tephra. This is a blazing 86 meters per second. That is lightning fast, which makes sense. It's a missile interceptor. It's supposed to get up there and, lob missiles, again, mimicking the whole orbiting idea, circle around and around very fast, use your speed to avoid getting hit, and lob these wicked-looking missiles at them. I'm going to look at these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I always panic whenever I see missiles because there were so many entries. Sometimes I'm like, did I get all the missiles? You're only allowed 36 missile gantry pieces in the team, and sometimes I feel like I may have missed one, and so someone got an unfair number of gantries, and then I panic, and it's terrible, and the world is ending, yada yada. But these are 5 block missiles, and there's 7 of them, so all is well with the world. This is variable thrust and explosive warheads with a single frag on the front with a thumper head. Interestingly enough, these have no guidance at all. They're just lobbed straight out of the launchers. There's not even any ejectors on them that I can see. In fact, this does it have? Okay, they have ejectors. It seems that they each get 2 ejectors, and so I mean, I don't know. I don't really know about this setup. If it was a smaller missile, I could see this being a thing. But since this is an orbiter designed to run at long distances around the edge of the perimeter of the battlefield and lob missiles at people, I would think, especially since these are so long, the more ammunition is required to resupply longer missiles, and they take more time to reload the longer they are. So these are pretty much the max length you could get out of this setup, and without guidance, there's a good chance many of them, if not all of them, are going to miss. So you have, I mean, they're very, very powerful. That's a lot of damage right there. I mean, explosions won't do much against things like heavy armor, but metal is going to melt like butter. And the thumper heads are really good at punching through any sort of armor. So that's a good setup. It's just that I'm not sure how many of them are actually going to make it to target. And you're going to have a long reload time, well, comparatively. But, I mean, I don't know. I haven't tested the tank. I don't know what it's capable of. In fact, we'll test it in a second, I think. Let's go down here and just make sure nothing else out of the ordinary. Yeah, it's just the usual. It looks like this was originally going to be another cannon tank too. We see another base bleeder, solid warhead, sabot setup. That might actually be, now that I look at it, it might be another Tephra hull. That might be the same hull that the Tephra has, roughly. Yeah, I think this is almost the exact same hull as the Tephra. It's just been repurposed into a missile tank and renamed. So, very sneaky. But that's enough speculating. I want to do one thing before we continue to the next tank. I gotta move off of it. Nope, nope. I am terrible at landing using these things. The magnet boost can be so weird sometimes. Let's just see what these do. There we go. Oh, it won't let me follow them. Well, that's interesting. So they just fly straight. They don't do the thing that my missiles did. When I built missiles that were just straight fire, they like to dive into the ground, which is very disappointing. But that's very accurate. I like that. That might be more effective than I thought. Good job, Pyrotech. Alright, I'm taking way too long with this, so let's get on with the next one. The Tecton KE. I'm guessing that's kinetic energy. Tectons, like I said, there's 2 of them. I'm pretty sure the exact same chassis and turret, just 2 different shell types on this one. So we see again, there's a tiny bit of a railgun in here. In fact, I think this is more of an intentional railgun than the Tephras. We got 2 railgun pieces on each side, and this gives us a total of 437 energy. Okay, cool, cool. Much larger shells in here. These are 2-meter shells. Ooh. So, like I said, this is the KE variant. I'm guessing the KE fires kinetic energy shells with a railgun assist to make them very hard-hitting, penetrating type shells. Maybe AI snipers, I'm not sure. Let's look in here real quick. I saw the shell over here. So there it is. Okay, so this is the shell type for the Tecton KE. A solid sabot. Okay, and there's no railgun assist on it, interestingly enough. Now, it will still receive the railgun power. In fact, let's look at, it's like, what, 475? I'm just going to give it 475, whatever. And I've totally forgotten. It'll tell me. Like 198 or something like that. So, guesstimating the caliber and the rail draw, it's going to move at around 853 meters per second. It deals much more damage than any other kinetic shell type we've seen so far in this team, 6,761, and has average armor pierce. Not really the greatest, honestly. I think the Tephra had way more than this, and it had less railgun pieces on it. So I don't know. I'm not quite sure. That this an interesting setup. I just I don't know. I guess I expected more from a 2-meter shell. It's definitely long. Reload is a lot longer because it is longer than the average shell on this team. And I think that's about it for this tank. Let's see. There is an aim point selection card. Okay, so this is meant to be a sniper. The aim point selection card will aim the gun at vulnerable blocks like the ammo. I think it prioritizes ammo first and then AI pieces second. So I think this is intended to punch through weak places or to weak spots in a tank, find that ammo and blow it up, and then if it's still alive, find the AI and blow it up. I just feel like for the amount of armor pierce it has, I feel like the Tefra is actually better at that. The Tefra may have it may also have what's it called? Target select 2, aim point select 2. I just didn't look for it. This is the other Tecton. Excuse me. The other Tecton, the APHE V2. We didn't look at the speed of the other one either. I'm derping hard. I'm gonna go ahead and assume. Yeah, we'll just make sure because we all know what assuming does here. Yeah, it's the exact same turret. It's the exact same tank. The only thing different in this tank is going to be the ammo loadout. Let's look at this ammo. Okay, so this is going to be an APHE, as it says on the tin. Even larger caliber. That's a 250 millimeter cannon. That is a huge cannon. What's the rail draw on this thing? 250 millimeter cannon, a 437. Okay, I was close enough on the last one. 437 rail draw. And you get 436 meters per second. Not very fast, but wow, that does some kinetic damage. Of course, it's a larger caliber. I guess I should expect that, but that's a lot of kinetic damage. Terrible, terrible armor pierce. That's going to have trouble against metal, let alone, heavy armor, which is what ends in a lot of these tanks. But here's the kicker. 1,212 explosives damage after it penetrates as far as it's going to be able to get. This will probably go through a metal beam quite easily. In fact, it'll have some damage mitigation due to armor, but I suspect this will punch through a single metal beam, which means this could potentially get inside some armor layers and detonate on the inside. Now, against things with a lot of armor, like heavy armor, once again, explosives aren't going to do anything. But with the other tanks firing as well, and those missiles streaking in, you have the potential for this tank to work its way into some very weakened areas of other tanks. And 1,200 high explosive damage on squishy internals like this stuff right here is very, very bad news. And that's very hard to repair. So it's interesting. These tanks all seem to complement each other. And they're very, very, very well themed. I like the design. I think the whole team aspect has been really well thought through on these. Let me look at something else real quick. Nope, wrong one. Yes, okay, so it looks like, look at these real quick. Yeah, it looks like resource sharing has been added to all these too. Very good thinking on the part of Pyrotech 51. The resource sharing can really help, especially if one tank has been badly damaged, say, and they, it can't really contribute to the fight anymore. It can still give resources to its companions, which can be a huge deal, especially if you have a tank that spams a lot of shots very quickly. Oh dear, we're colliding with everyone. How fast is this going? I kind of want to see how fast a Tecton could go real quick. But yeah, even if they are missing their gun or they can't shoot anymore, they can still provide detection, and they can still provide resources for their team. And I think this is probably the slowest tank on the team. I'm looking at it now. Oh no, I'm falling. Oh no, the tank is falling. Oh no. Mistakes were made. Well, that's probably enough of me derping around. But anyway, that was the Pyre Battalion by Pyrotech 51. What's left of it anyway. Thank you guys for watching. I've been Chromoid, and I hope you enjoy the show, and I hope you enjoy the fights. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.